I realized something while going through all the slides and getting all the slide information to put inside of the video. I found out something pretty amazing, and I'm going to read it off this paper because I want to save you the time of going through a very, very long discourse, but it's something that needs to be said because I actually found out while going through those slides, while putting information together for you guys, who that being was behind me, and it opened up a lot more information to me on what stage I am actually at in my current life at present right now. And this is the power of actually going into dream work and actually figuring out what your dreams are trying to tell you. And that's really just why I love analytic psychology, myth, and esotericism, Kabbalah, alchemy, because it gives you the keys to understanding the inner, more elusive parts of your life, which are spiritual. So anyways, I'm just going to read this real quick. Saturn, Chronos, is the concert of necessity, or an ananke, and hands you the knife to carve your pathway to freedom. Chronos, Saturn, was the one that handed me the knife, and I'm going to put a picture in here of a missing plate that they didn't enter into this book. They just had Mithras slaying the bull. Where did he get the knife? We always see Mithras slaying the bull. Who hands him the knife, you know? And I'm gonna put the website that I actually got this information from. I actually did it in the video, but I'm gonna emphasize that people go and look at this if they have any link to Mithras as a god image, I guess you could say, that has import in their life. All right, anyways, in this chapter, and that is page 69, lecture 8 of Transformation of Libido, a seminar on C.G. Jung, Symbol of Transformation by Edward F. Edinger, much was said about what was a missing key to my dream. Okay, I'm going to read this little side note real fast. Page 40 through 49, namely page 48 through 49 of lecture 5 in this book. The previous chapter on the Heddernheim Mithraic Releif did not mention Saturn/Cronus handing Mithras the knife to slay the bull. In this chapter, much is said about what was a missing key to my dream. And I'm talking about page 69, lecture 8. Who was the person handing me the knife? It was Saturn, Cronus. This deity is married to necessity, Ananke, and the import of this deity is the regression into chaotic depression. And I'm talking about Chronos/Saturn. For example, the alchemical Negredo, that's what he represents, right, in a large way, as a step that is not a problem if taken on consciously and understood as a transition period to the next step in the alchemical process, which is the albedo. It's a time of light, which leads to citrinitas, which is another time of light, but there's some doubts that come up. And then the rubedo stages, which basically confer the philosopher's stone on you, basically confer something upon you that touches not only your life in all areas and aspects, but others' lives, right? If one does not stay there in the dark shrouds of the mother, and that's in the Negredo, which is what this is, depression, inevitably and definitely, if you don't stay there in the clutches of depression, and you don't stay there in a way where you're doing it unconsciously and just letting it pass or whatever, which can sometimes that means that you've done a lot of repression. Your depression can create split off situations and split offs that are created by just allowing your depression to go through. You go through it and then you're back in it again. You know, you're unconscious about something that your life's trying to tell you, and that split off, it actually is a living, it almost becomes a living entity, you know what I mean? You never made yourself conscious of it, so in some ways you're susceptible to falling to it again, falling to the reasons why you fell into the depression, right? All right, anyways, One must, in that time of depression, visualize and order the chaotic time and ordeal, understand it, and act appropriately, moving forward upon what path the visualization inside the dark time will present. Because depressions aren't always negative. Like, you sometimes during a depression you'll hear a voice telling you, hey, you know what, you really are a good person, man. You remember when you did this, or you remember when you did this? It's not all bad, man. You know, this is going to turn out for the better. Sometimes we want to have the pity party and just stay stuck in the voices that tell you, oh, well, you should just go kill yourself. You should just end it, man. Life is pointless. Life is a big nothing. And the truth is that both voices are true. But you have to figure out how you are going to, what standpoint you're going to take towards the life is nothing. Like, you know, it's just all nothing. Well, yeah, it is all nothing. The light that created the universe, right, if you will, that the logos came from darkness, Ayin Safeor, which is from nothing, limitless light. You see, so the negative things, there's truth to be found in the negative things, in the negative times, in the negativity, right? There's truth to be found, and there's truth to be found in the positive as well, though, too. After the Negredo, you go to a more positive state, you know? But anyways, one must in that time visualize and order the chaotic time and ordeal, understand it, and act appropriately, moving forward upon what path the visualization inside the dark time will present. I found that this dissipates the dark cloud, the nimbus, right? Freeing one to utilize the libido to travel the path, and the albedo is that next stage. So the thing is I do want to put up some Proto-Indo-European information on here, because I looked up what is the etymology on the word knife, and it's really interesting when you look at the Hebrew aspect of the word knife, the Proto-Indo-European aspect, and see what the knife actually means. And when you look into the understanding of ceremonial magic and what the knife represents on the altar, it's the self. The knife represents the self, right? So Chronos basically in that dark time is handing you a weapon to carve out your destiny with in the Negredo, in the depression, in the depressive phases of life. So that is something that I've noticed. And then for me, during that time that I had that dream, right, I ended up realizing that after cutting the bull's neck, right, once that stage is taken, what's the next stage? Is putting the bull on your back, right? Carrying the weight of the world. The weight of the world, you could say, because I'm speaking of it in a metaphoric term, the weight of the world is a mother weight. For a man, it's a mother weight. That darkness and that heaviness represents the mother, and you're taking that and you're using you're moving forward and integrating your standpoint and your understanding towards that type of energy in such a way that you don't become devoured by it, you know. Because I had mother issues growing up. I had mother issues that I had to get through. The mother issues that I had, right, ended up making me a pretty angry person in life. Really ended up making me a terror, you know. And for a man, a lot of times the biggest problem is not the father influence, it's the mother influence. And that was my crux, you know. A lot of times too, realizing that in certain situations that I was dealing with in life, I could go back and live with my mother. I could go back and deal with my mother. Like around the time when I had this dream, I actually, just to give you a little backstory, I actually went homeless, you know. I actually went homeless and was living out of a car. And there was a lot of things that I was getting into, that I was doing to stay afloat. And it was really a hard time. It was really a perilous, dangerous time. But I had to take the bull on my back. There were people I could have called. I could have called my older sister. She would have been more than happy to say, hey, come and stay over at my house. That's another form of the mother, right? You know, I could have called my mom and told her what was going on. I had a lot of family members I could have called and told what was going on, but I knew it was my weight to carry. It was my burden to carry. It was my right of passage. And after quite a while of going through all the ups and downs I was going through, and I was actually on an upward stair before I turned around and closed that chapter of my life. And closing that chapter of my life, long story short, I got separated from my son, and I was able to get him back into my life. I was able to reconcile with my significant other, my lady. You know what I mean? I was able to provide him with a situation where he had both of his parents, for instance. You know what I mean? And this was out of a chaotic situation where that was broken. You know, and I started really going into a terrible downward spiral. But it was a matter of actually taking the burden on my back, actually taking the responsibility, actually taking up my cross and facing death more times than once in the situations I was in. You know, and as time goes on, I'm gonna flesh out some of these stories, because some of these stories are of great psychological import, and they're of great import to you in what it is that you're going through as well. And I really believe that some of the stories that I'm going to tell here on this page can put me in a situation socially where people are going to be like, oh man, what? Whoa, man, you know, great. You know, only the open-minded people and only the individuals that really need to be helped by the content matter will be able to get what they need to from what I'm going to say. But with the things that I do talk about on this channel, I do want to impress that I am not glorifying violence. I'm not glorifying anything negative. My whole output is to make sure that people get something that can enrich them and help them to open up greater territory and to gain better real estate on understanding the depths of the unconscious and the import that has to their life, and utilize the wellspring of energy that getting more in depth on that unseen side of life can allow you to open up vistas for your life. You know what I mean? But so according to the way the stellas are laid out in the Mithraic tale, right? When all is said and done, I'm past the you know, carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. The bull being the bull of Osiris, and that bull is the bull of his mother, right? That's what they call it. So I'm really going to that stage where it is reaching for the nimbus. It's almost like, you could say figuratively, that's reaching for the stars. And if you reach for the stars, or you shoot for the moon, if you will, you hit a few stars on the in-between. The moon is the unconscious. The moon represents the self in a large way. You know what I mean? Is the receptacle and container of the influence of the divine self. So you reach for that, you're going to hit a few stars on the in-between. You're going to hit fates. You're going to hit destiny, you know? And as far as the next stele is having the self, you know, having a reciprocal gathering together with the self, and in the fact that the ego is bowing to the self, and the fact that the ego, or Mithras, you could say, is created in the image of soul, if you will, and is soul. They're both bowing to one another, basically having a deeper, more religiously, you could say, depth and understanding to life. And I'm even peeking and reaching into that, as far as getting deeper attuned with my life, deeper attuned with the underlying nuances of my life, and seeing how they're so luminously charged with light from above, and that above is within. You know, that's why this story is like, I was saying, it was kind of ambiguous how soul bows to Mithras, but Mithras and soul are one and the same, because God created man in his own image. You know, we're twins with God. And it's really amazing to know that. And sometimes it's hard to grasp that, but we all have to come to the point where we can grasp that understanding and bask in that light. So I'm going to terminate this. This is a short, and hopefully you guys are enriched by it.